Hi, everyone. It's Shauna from Positively Fit Canine Rehabilitation and Wellness. I'm joined today by Amanda Gilbert of Stone City Canine, who's also here in the Kingston, Ontario area. So, just a bit of intro to who Amanda is. She is a professional dog trainer with certifications from the Victoria Stilwell Academy, the Fear Free organization, and is a Do More with Your Dog trick dog instructor. She has over a decade of experience in education, canine behavior and basic obedience, agility, nose work, and rally-o, as well as behavior modification issues using evidence and research-based positive reinforcement training methods. So Amanda has two English Springer Spaniels and a Springer Doodle, who I have met them all, and they are all lovely and very energetic, who keep her busy and bring a lot of joy to her life. And I will say to those that meet them too. So Amanda's currently working through her University of Tennessee certification in canine fitness training. And that's the reason why I wanted to invite Amanda to have a chat with me today with the goal of exploring what the differences are between canine fitness and rehab, as I'm sure Amanda will attest to it as well. I think there can be some confusion or the perception that they're very interchangeable, and I'm hoping that can provide a little bit of clarity to anyone that's like, well, what is the difference and why would I use one or the other? So thank you, Amanda, for joining me.
Oh, thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Is there anything I missed in that intro that you would want people to know?
I don't think so. I think you nailed it.
Perfect. All right. So let's just take a step back and maybe I'd like, because I actually don't know the answer to this question. What led you to want to become a dog trainer of all things?
Yeah, so this is kind of hard for me to answer because dogs kind of existed in my house before I existed. So I guess like the short answer is I've always had dogs. I love dogs. Obviously, if I didn't love dogs, I wouldn't be um, in this business. Um, but then as I was kind of like trying to think through like what ultimately made me decide to go into training. Um, I was thinking back to the dog that I had before Alphaba, Mr. Darcy. He had a lot of behavior issues. And at the time I was a student at St. Lawrence College, I was in the vet tech program, and we took a course through that program in animal behavior. And I realized that I had been approaching his behavior issues completely wrong. Um, I was using kind of like punishment based training to try and suppress the behavior issues that he was having. And through that course, I learned about positive reinforcement training and low stress handling. And we watched a video with Dr. Sophia Yin. Um, and she had trained her cattle dog to do like incredible things with positive reinforcement training, with like a target stick. She had trained her cattle dog to do like a somersault with a target stick, and it like blew my mind. I was like, this is crazy. I need to look more into this. And so I realized through my studies that vet tech is not for me. However, I do love all of the vet techs and the veterinarians. They do incredible work. But
Very
behavior,
hard work.
very
Yes.
hard work. Yes, absolutely. Um, but yeah, behavior was like something that I was like, I need to look more into this. I started deep diving into it, um, learn more about positive reinforcement training, really started like refining my skills. I started shadowing at a local dog training school. Um, Watching them, and then I started to get my certifications going. Um, and so now I have my two springers. They're each trick dogs. Alpha is a grand champion trick dog, so she can do amazing things. And so yeah, I just from there started started my own business right before the pandemic. Switched to online and
Everyone started a business right before the pandemic, it seems. Oh, that's incredible. And so you're a dog trainer and now you're working on your canine fitness certification. So what maybe it's just another course and you're like, I want to learn more, but what was the reason that you decided? Because it's not the same. Yes, the dog training skills are very important with the canine fitness, but it's different.
Yeah. So I started doing agility again with the dog that I had before Alphaba, and I've continued with Alphaba and Gamora to participate in a variety of dog sports since then. So they both do agility. Gamora does dock diving. We've done rallyo, hoopers, scent work, barn hunt. Um, and then during the pandemic, we actually did an online freestyle course, which was really fun.
Is that
Um,
like dancing?
it's dancing, yes.
Okay,
So if people see like the crufts where they're, in costume and they're dancing with their dogs, that's what freestyle is.
that's amazing.
Yeah, it's pretty fun.
Did you record it? Because I think we need to see that.
Oh my goodness. No, I didn't record. We did have to record homework, I'm pretty sure. Yeah,
Okay.
I might have some videos, but it's like very basic foundation work. So it's like, pivoting with your dog.
That's still
Uh,
pretty cool.
yeah, it's pretty fun. And then yeah, so I also have like a personal background in sports. I used to be a competitive power lifter. And so I understand the importance of having a proper conditioning and proper programming when you are competing, at a high level in sports, um, in order to prevent injuries, to prevent burnout, to make sure that you're moving properly. And so when I'm watching my dogs participating in sports, particularly sports like flyball and agility, where dogs are meant to go fast, but they're also doing tight turns. They're going up and down ramps. They're doing a lot of jumps. Um, there are injuries that happen.
Mm-hmm.
And when we have dogs that are participating and they're only like showing up for a weekend competition, then you get like the weekend warrior. And so I started teaching dog sports, and I want the people that I'm teaching to have that foundation, right? I don't want to just teach them the skills of the sport and have them go to a weekend competition. I want them to have a proper conditioning program, get the foundations of the movement so that they're moving properly, and then go into the specifics of whatever the sport
Mm-hmm.
is, and
Mm-hmm.
build up properly to participate.
Mm-hmm. And I think maybe for someone that is watching this that hasn't done dog sports and they're like, I don't really get what you're saying. What comes to mind for me is kind of like for any of us that have participated in sports, whether it's children or as adults, it's kind of like that dry land or off ice training or like out of the pool training, like that basic fitness piece. I think you explained it really well. So if we take a step back and I say, what is canine fitness? And I think you've kind of said it without saying it.
Yeah, so I think it's that it's like a general physical preparedness if your dog is not playing sports, but you want them to have a healthy lifestyle. Um, but it usually involves kind of like a structured set of exercises or a program.
Hmm.
So it's more than just taking your dog out for a walk every day. There are goals that you might have associated with canine fitness. So it could be building strength. So if you're in dog sports, then it could be like with agility. That's kind of a people think of it like a
Yeah.
endurance or like a running type sport, but it's a lot of strength because it's a lot of acceleration, it's a lot of deceleration. Uh, it's very quick, so you need a lot of like explosive power for something like that. So building strength in the muscles, it can be uh, to prevent injuries. So making sure that all of those muscles are conditioned properly. They have warm ups. Um, and it can be, your dog, maybe your dog is trying to lose or maintain weight. So, you know, your vet may prescribe uh, altered diet, could be different type of food, could be less food. But it can also include a bit of a fitness program. And you want to make sure that you're doing that correctly, especially if your dog is overweight. You don't want to be doing fitness exercises that would cause an injury. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
and or it could be, you know, maybe your dog is trying to build better balance or body awareness, because often dogs forget that they've got a back end back there, or that big dogs think they're small dogs. So again, I think it a lot of it comes back to healthy lifestyle and preventing injuries.
Yeah. So very much like what we would do as people. So I think about myself and I am not what did you call it? The weightlifting you were doing, there was a specific term.
Powerlifting.
Powerlifting, thank you. So I'm not a power lifter and I know how to lift weights, but I would kind of dabble in it for a while, but never stuck with anything consistently. But then I found a program and an app from a personal trainer that I can follow and it's structured. And
Mhm.
man, I wasn't following a plan has brought me much better results than just kind of being like, oh, I should do some stuff. So I'm going to do the exercises I know how to do. It's like us going and getting that personal trainer or that person to create something that we can follow.
Yeah, and I think it's important, like if you are unfamiliar with the exercises, that you have a personal trainer.
Hmm.
Because if someone were to show up in the gym and they see me, I'm a competitive powerlifter. I've built up my strength over years. If they walk in the gym and they're like, oh, she's putting 2 plates on there, so that's like 225 pounds. She's doing that. Oh, I'm going to try that too. Well, you can't start there. You might need to start at just the bar and work on like a high amount of volume before you
Hmm.
can move up to a higher weight. And it's having someone who understands how to piece those things together to get you to that goal, right?
Hmm.
And it's the same thing with our dogs. And if we have a specific goal for them, we want to be sure that we're not just proverbially diving into the deep end. We are setting them up for success, uh,
Hmm.
building that in a progression that makes sense for them.
Yeah. Yeah. Building a good foundation.
Yeah.
So many people watching this may have heard like the term canine fitness or canine conditioning like come up a lot more, especially for folks that are heavily involved in dog sports, whatever it may be. Um, why do you think it's become so popular over the last decade or so? Like now you can go into Facebook groups that have like tens of thousands of people in it looking for advice, sharing exercises. Like what do you think has caused it to kind of catch fire lately?
I think it's kind of a mix of a few things. So I think the fact that dog sports are growing really rapidly, more people are participating in it. And so, as people are becoming more competitive, there's like a bit of a word of mouth, like, how do you get to this level? And as they become more competitive, they want to, have that edge. How do I get my dog better at this? Um, or they want to prevent injuries. Um, I think it's also a bit of like people are becoming more aware of what a healthy, active lifestyle looks like, even for people, and
Hmm.
they're bringing their dogs into that, right? So they're, what can I do for my dog that's going to, prolong their life? How can, I have a healthy lifestyle? How can my dog have a healthy lifestyle? Um, and they want to make sure that they're doing the right thing for their dogs.
Yeah, I think the role, and I think you'd agree with me, the roles that our dogs play in our lives have changed so much
Mhm.
compared to what they were like 30 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, I think like when I was growing up, at least like your dog was a family pet. They might play ball with you in the backyard. They might at the training schools. The training schools were more about like obedience type training. Um, but yeah, as dogs become um, more family oriented, like people want to take their dogs to do things a lot. You know, they want
Hmm.
to travel with their dogs. They want their dogs to be more involved with their life. And I don't know, maybe it's a millennial thing, but um, people who I find, maybe I'm generalizing, I don't have the statistics on this, but I feel like millennials treat their dogs almost like their children. And so you enroll your child in sports, you might also enroll your dog in sports as well.
It is a millennial thing, but I will say it's also the baby boomers whose children have left the nest and the dogs have become the surrogate children. I see a lot of those now too. And oh, as a mom of two kids, sometimes the dog is much easier.
Yeah.
So I've used the terms canine conditioning, I've used canine fitness, and I think we can probably agree that we can use those fairly interchangeable. But there are different terms out there. So, like training, we might use rehab. Do you have some thoughts on how those things are different and how they might overlap and where people should be aware of kind of the nuances of each of those?
Yeah, I would say like conditioning, fitness, training are preventative in nature. So um, those are for maintaining a healthy, active lifestyle, preventing injuries, building strength. Um, Whereas I think of rehab as post injury or like a post surgery, um, and something that should be overseen by a veterinarian, or someone who, such as yourself, like a physiotherapist who has a specialization in rehabbing dogs, that understands not just like the body movements, but also um, the trauma that the dog has experienced,
Hmm.
whether it's through surgery or through an injury or just, you know, aging, um, and understanding how those kind of pathologies
Hmm.
play a role in the type of exercises that someone like you would prescribe. I wouldn't be rehabbing a dog necessarily. I would be, you know, if a dog sustained an injury, let's say on an agility course, that's not the time to have them do fitness. That's the time to have them see a veterinarian,
Hmm.
and then begin a rehabilitation program. And then when they're ready to return to sport and they are healthy, then they would come back to a fitness trainer, and
Hmm.
work on foundations.
Hmm. And so, and I think we hear this all the time too when, you pop on an exercise video and there's like the disclaimer at the beginning saying like, please consult your physician before you start, when no one is. Quite honestly, people, I mean, to cover the butt of the company. But I think there is a difference when it's us making a choice for ourselves and we know how we are feeling
Mhm.
versus our dogs who were like, oh, they seem just fine. Let's do this. Is there a way that someone that's like, well, I think my dog is healthy enough to start working with someone like you to work on some fitness? They have some goals to make sure their dog is strong. How do we make sure that they are going down the right path, whether they are ready just to go right to conditioning or maybe they need a little bit of rehab and support? How do we figure that out?
Yeah. So when dogs come to work with a fitness trainer, we should always be doing an evaluation at the start of our sessions. And that evaluation will involve things like um, a gait assessment, seeing how they're moving. It could be asking them to go up and down stairs, making sure that all of their limbs are moving as they should. We test for flexibility, making sure that there's no major issues with that. We also take into consideration the dog's age, their body condition. Um, we're looking at even things like, are their nails too long? That might be preventing them from moving properly. How are they standing? How are they holding their bodies? And then we're also looking at, uh, you know, canine equipment. Can they use the equipment? Where they are on that fitness scale. And if we see any sort of red flags in there, so if I see a dog, and because I've, you know, been trained in analyzing
Hmm.
their gait, and we do gait, sorry, I should say, we do gait assessments at different speeds as well. So it's not just like, oh, the dog walks by, we're doing a walk, we're doing, a trot, we're seeing how they're moving um, from all different angles. And if we see any sort of red flags, as I said, feet crossing over, coming into midline. If I see issues with flexibility, um, that's a kind of a red flag to me to be like, we should have a specialist see them. We need to have your
Hmm.
veterinarian check them out. We also do kind of an assessment of, how they're feeling. Are they, um, do they have any sort of preconditions? Um, because again, when a dog is not feeling well, even if it's not a structural issue, if it's an internal issue, we still need to have a veterinarian give them clearance for that.
Hmm.
So,
Can you give an example of that?
um, yeah, if we have a dog that has, like, let's say Addison's or Cushing's, like a thyroid issue, that change in their hormones can also affect the way that they are
Mm.
going through a conditioning program.
Right.
And we don't want to be putting those dogs into some sort of crisis with the exercises that we're doing. So those are kind of red flag dogs
Hmm.
that we would want someone specialized to have a look at and give them clearance to be able to do an exercise program.
Would there ever be cases where you've started a fitness program with a dog and then those red flags start to crop up and you're like, you need to go and get this checked?
There could be. So once we do our initial assessment, that's not kind of like the end of it. Like, we don't just do one evaluation and then never look at that again. We're doing reassessments, so we could do a formal reassessment, 30 days after or whenever our goal
Hmm.
is for the program. Personally, I would be watching the dog in every session. So
Mm.
I'm looking for how a dog is moving, with each week. I would want to check in to make sure, because even within exercises themselves, if they're not done correctly, they can cause injury.
Hmm.
To give like a human example, if you are doing a squat, if you are not planting your feet correctly, you can pull out your low back. If
Right.
you're not, um, if you're using incorrect weights, or you're using weights too heavy for you, or your form is off, you're even like something you might not have caught at the beginning, like maybe your hips are slightly out of alignment, and then you add weight onto that, it's going to
Mm.
change your movement even further. Um, so yeah, even after we do the initial evaluation, we're still evaluating along the programming.
And I think that also goes to say how valuable it is to have someone like yourself, whether virtual or in person, actually seeing what you're doing. Because there is and it's growing every day, how many things are available out there online. And I think it's a great option, especially if there isn't someone in your area. But I think you highlighted just like it can be easy for you to have your dog repeat the same thing over and over again that isn't quite right, that maybe sends something off the rails that might not have been a problem before and
Mhm.
inadvertently has become one.
Yeah. Yeah, there's the like repeated exposure, or
Hmm.
there is a term for it and it's not coming to me.
What comes to my mind is micro trauma, but that might be a bit of an aggressive term.
Yeah, it's like a
Repetitive injury, repetitive
repetitive injury.
strain,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
Um, so you mentioning weights and holding weights that are too heavy.
Mhm.
If we're doing exercises with a dog, how do we put enough stimulus on them
Mhm.
so that their muscles will actually grow if they can't hold a weight? Like if we think about doing squats or chest press or something.
Yeah, so with our dogs, their movement patterns are obviously very different from ours, right? They're on four legs. But like if you think of like a human doing body weight squats, you can add things like volume, so
Hmm.
the number of repetitions that you're doing. Um, so with our dogs, they can do like doggy squats, um,
Hmm.
because when they sit, right, they're going into a sit and pushing up. They're using those um, hamstrings, glutes, quads to move their bodies. So by adding volume, we can also change the level that they're on, right? So
Hmm.
bring their front paws up higher. That's adding a different angle and a greater level of difficulty. We have different pieces of equipment that we can use. We can add in things like a wobble board, or something that is kind of throwing off their balance and they have to like stabilize their muscles.
Hmm.
Use those pieces of equipment. And I think like there's a lot that can be done just using body weight uh,
Hmm.
in those type of exercises. Um, and yeah, I mean, I would not recommend this to anyone, but you can add weights if they were like in a backpack, but it's very, very difficult to properly fit something like that. So I just want to put that disclaimer out there in case
Yes.
someone gets the idea that they were like, oh yeah, like we could add weights onto a
I think the
backpack.
risk of
Like,
harm might outweigh the
yeah,
benefits on that one.
yeah, yeah, for sure. But
Absolutely.
yeah, there's lots of things that a fitness trainer has in their repertoire, um, that can help to improve strength, with the dog,
Absolutely.
with the proper programming reps and sets um,
Yeah. And
and
I like that you mentioned volume or repeating a movement over and over again. Because a lot of the time I find like I'll be like, oh, we're gonna work on some sit to stands, and it's not just like a sit and obedience. There's a certain technique and form. We're like, oh, my dog sits down and stands up all day long, and it's like, yeah, and you get up and down from a chair all day long too, but that's not the same as doing a squat. So I think there is a nuance to these things. And I mean, I've worked with folks who are like, oh, we do that already. And I'm like,
yeah,
not quite in a formalized, structured way, as you said. Like, I think it's that structure that a lot of people miss.
yeah, for sure. Yeah.
So you can use fancy equipment, but
Mhm.
we don't have to, right?
No, absolutely not. You can use things that you have around the house, and I use things that I have around my house all the time, with my dogs. I use paint cans, as a foot target. I've used a table leaf, so the little, when you extend out your table and there's like a leaf in the
Yeah.
middle, I will use that and wrap a yoga mat around it. There are aerobic steppers that you can get at Canadian Tire or Amazon. Um, yeah, you can use all kinds of things that you can find around the house. My favorite thing is to go to like Home Sense or Winners and look at the fitness equipment over there and see what I can use for my dogs. So we've got like yoga blocks
Yeah.
we found for cheap there. Even something like a rolled up carpet. You know, if you have your dog pushing that rolled up
Mm.
carpet, um, then that's a household item that you can use. You don't have to spend hundreds of dollars on fancy um, pieces of equipment, especially if your dog is new to fitness, um,
Yeah.
because they're not going to be right off the bat using a peanut. Um, that's an advanced piece of fitness equipment. Uh, that's for dogs who have gone through some programming and are very comfortable with that equipment, and their human is also very skilled in using that equipment, because those destabilized pieces require kind of advanced handling and also advanced knowledge from the dog.
Yeah, and I'll just pipe in to say with that too, and this is a frustration of mine because I do have my canine fitness trainer certification that you're working on, and
Mhm.
I'm also working as a canine physiotherapist. The frustration so the knowledge I've gained doing my canine fitness trainer certification around inflatable equipment makes me very frustrated and I don't know if embarrassed is the right word, but like maybe concerned is a better word about what I see some of my rehab colleagues doing with inflatable equipment at times. I'm like, are we really ready for that? So I think, in my experience, and, back 10 years ago when I was new to this, I just thought, oh, like we're just gonna put all the dogs on all the things we blew up in cool colors and everything. And now I'm just like, yeah, I rarely use that stuff anymore.
Yeah, you can do a lot of balance and stabilization exercises on solid ground.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is a lot cheaper. You don't need to pay $200 for a pink blown up dog bone.
Yes.
Uh, so the other question that I get, and I imagine you have gotten, is, well, two parts to it. One, well, shouldn't I be walking my dog X amount every day? And what is the ideal amount of walking I should do? Because there are those, and I don't, as far as I know, we don't have it for dogs, but there are from Health Canada how much physical activity we should all be getting in a certain day or a certain week, and we should be doing this much strength training and this much flexibility. And we have rough guidelines, I know, from the Canine Fitness Trainer program. But why is walking not enough?
That's a good question. So with walking, um, unless your dog that like you are running with your dog, they're not going to get their heart rate up to the level that they would need to get benefit from it.
Hmm.
Often when people are walking their dogs, they're actually kind of going out in what I would call like an enrichment walk. So they're going out with their dogs, they're letting them check their pee nails, they're stopping and sniffing. And so when you're doing a walk like that, even if you're going out for 45 minutes or 60 minutes, that kind of like sauntering along, sniffing something, moving to the next thing, they're not getting that like cardio benefit because they're not getting their heart rate up into a sustained
Hmm.
level that's going to improve. Like if your goal is conditioning, strength and
Hmm.
conditioning, then they're not going to get up to the level that you need them to get the benefits of that.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Hmm. And probably also not overloading the muscles to the same amount. Like, say, if my goal was my dog's thigh muscles, I want them to be stronger.
Mhm.
If walking was going to do it, it probably would have done it already.
Yeah, and there are, not to get into like the deep details of it, but there are different muscle types. And so if what you're looking for is strength, then we need to be engaging the strength muscles. Um,
Hmm.
those like fast twitch fibers. We if we're just walking, they're not engaging the right kind of muscles.
Mhm.
So if we're building strength, we need to be doing kind of more power movements. Um, if you did want to improve your dog's cardio, I'm thinking of like humans like couch to 5K kind of thing,
Yeah.
where you may still have to build up. I'm not saying like go out and like get your dog at a sustained trot for 30 minutes. Like if your dog is not conditioned for that, you're still going to have to do an incremental um, program up to that. But yeah, it really depends on what your goals are. But a traditional walk is not going to get you to
Mhm.
that conditioning phase.
Mhm. And the thing that strikes me in this whole conversation is just how much we understand about our own like physiology and our need for exercise and our need for different type of exercises, and we never consider it for our animals.
Yeah.
And I have talked to so many people, and I'm sure you've experienced this too, and they're like, well, I never thought about it for my dog, but like that makes a lot of sense. But it's just we don't our brains just don't go there naturally. I think more people are inclined now that they're seeing it more. We're on social media, so we're seeing what other people are doing, that it's coming more to the forefront of their mind. But I still meet people now that they're like, oh, my dog has this going on. I wonder if dog physio is a thing. And they're like, holy crow, it is. Like we don't know what we don't know, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Social media is both a blessing and a curse
Yes,
because
I don't think there's anyone that would disagree with that comment.
yeah.
So that is all wonderful. And I think that gives us a really good understanding of what canine conditioning is, what it is not, and what it can do for our dogs. So let's say someone is watching this and they're like, hey, I do some, uh, not even high-end agility. Like we're just involved so that my dog's doing some things. And I think, maybe I really should think about doing some conditioning with my dog. And let's say they've gone to the vet and the vet's like, yeah, I have no worries, like go ahead with it. Where would one even go to start?
Yeah, so I would suggest that they see if there's a certified fitness trainer in their area, or look online.
Mhm.
Um, you can come to me. You could come to Shauna, um, and work with someone who understands how to build a program, and you would let them know your goals, right? So even if you're not a competitive, um, you're not competitive in agility or dock diving, um, your fitness trainer can still give you an exercise program that will help prevent injuries, that will condition them properly for the sport. Because we hear about like even in humans, the weekend warrior, where you're not doing anything and then you show up to some sort of weekend competition, some cannonball run or rough mudder, and then you come out with an injury. Like we don't want that to happen with
Yeah.
our dogs. So yeah, reach out to a certified canine fitness trainer who understands how to program properly for the goals that you have.
And I'll drop some links on a couple of search places that folks can use to find someone, to look if there's someone certified in their area. And a lot of folks do offer online programs as well. And so I guess just a clarifying question I have for you as well, Amanda, is canine conditioning just for folks that have their dogs in sports, or could it be anybody that has a pet dog? Maybe they do a bit of obedience training, but they're just like, I kind of want to take on something else.
Yeah, I think canine conditioning and fitness is for everyone, just as human fitness is for everyone. If you want just something to do with your dog, like it never hurts to have them have a little bit more body awareness, a little bit
Mhm.
more strength in their muscles, because that's going to help them live a longer, healthier life. Because as your dog ages, um, they are just like humans. They're going to lose probably some muscle mass. They may lose some bone density. And the more that you can strengthen them as they're younger, and also not to say that senior dogs can't also, participate in canine fitness, but the more that you can do as they're younger and
Mm.
um, help them as they're aging, they'll have that better foundation as they do get into the older years.
Like putting money in the bank. I had a friend over a couple weekends ago, and my own dog is 13 now, and she remarked that she had never seen such a fit lab, which was like just music to my ears. So yes, absolutely. It's starting earlier makes it easier than starting later. Younger bodies put on muscle easier, same as with people. It applies to our dogs. I really appreciate you saying that.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
I was going to say Alphaba's 9 years old and she's still participating in agility.
yeah.
And I've heard of dogs retiring from the sport at 5 years old because they've just been pushed too far or burnt out. And so if you have proper, conditioning for them,
Hmm.
they can hopefully stay in the sport longer.
Yeah, and I think one thing we didn't talk about is just it can be so much fun. It's another bonding activity. It's another like outlet for your dog. Um, Especially, and I saw it online this morning, someone asking how to, without getting into details, basically control, I think it was a border collie, and someone had commented, well, they need a lot of exercise. And I'm like, okay. So it could be another way to work their brain as well as their body.
Yeah,
Um, so
absolutely.
maybe a healthier outlet.
Yes, a healthy outlet for sure. I have two Springer Spaniels. They also, quote unquote, need a lot of exercise. We do fitness and conditioning, and they are tired from that. And we haven't run for an hour outside. They've just done a half-hour conditioning program in our basement.
I just muted, and if anyone can hear the dog hacking in the background, that is my dog who I'm going to throw a treat because I think she's got acid reflux.
Oh no.
Anyways, she's totally okay, but if you heard that horrible retching sound, that's what that was. Well, thank you, Amanda, for joining me and shedding some light on a topic that I think is just, if you watch this now, you're going to end up being pushed lots of canine exercise videos online, but I hope that folks watching this have a better understanding of why, grabbing an inflated peanut and having their dog stand on it when they haven't done anything else yet is probably not the best place to start. So, if someone wanted to connect with you, Amanda, where should we direct them to?
Yeah, so people can email me. So it's Amanda at Stone City Canine, like the letter K and the number 9.com. Or if they want to follow us on Instagram, it's Stone City Canine. So again, with the K and the number 9.coach. Um, and I'd love for people to reach out, ask questions, even if you're just curious. Occasionally, I will post some of the fitness things I'm working on with my dogs, with the disclaimer. What is it? Do as I say, not as I do. No, what is the saying? Anyways,
No, you got it right, I think.
uh, yes. So when I post things of my dogs doing their exercises, they're doing a program that I've written specifically for them. So if you are interested in doing canine fitness, don't just look at our videos and copy what we're doing. Like reach out, ask questions, leave a comment, and I can answer any clarifying questions that you might have there, or meet with you and write a specific program for your dog.
Yes, yes. And do you know when you anticipate being completed your certification program?
So I'm just finishing up my last case study. Um, and then, so once I've submitted those, they will have to be graded. And once I have my passing grade of that, then I write the test, hopefully get a passing grade in that. Uh,
Okay.
so I'm going to,
This fall, probably.
yeah, but
Very
it's
exciting.
been a really interesting program. I'm glad that I had like kind of the vet tech background, like understanding all of the physiology
Hmm.
and stuff beforehand, because I feel like if I just jumped into that without that background, I'd probably be like overwhelmed. Um, it's a lot of like the coursework covers a lot of ground. Um,
Yes.
but even from there, I think I'll probably use it as like a jumping off point to
Hmm.
continue to learn more and more.
Hmm. No. And I think what is good for folks to take away from what you've just said is you're not just taking a weekend course online that was a couple of hours long. Like you have studied physiology, anatomy, learned how to look at how a dog is moving, how to decide if an exercise is appropriate or not. So there's more to it than going onto an AI platform and being like, this is my dog, create a program for me, which could be a potential recipe for disaster. So yeah,
Yes.
I think that's
I've
great.
seen that in the fitness space as well, where people are asking AI to create a fitness program for them, and the programs are not good.
Yeah.
So,
Yep. That's what we get. Yeah. Perfect. So I will put all of Amanda's information in the video description. So if anyone wants to connect with you, they can find you easily. Thanks so much, Amanda, for this.
thank you. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. All right, guys, we'll check in the next video.